was Sunday night at about 8 p.m. And it started when Brittany Hardcastle and Mercedes Nichols called our victim, who's 16 years of age, and called in text, and asked her to come to the residence at 6124 Callender Court West in Lakeland, and they wanted to talk to her. Keep in mind that all of these folks know each other. Most of them go to school together. In fact, we'll release the details to you, but the majority of them are Mulberry High School students. 2 of them are Jenkins High School students, and some of them are no longer in school. When our victim arrived at the residence, she was met by Brittany Hardcastle. Mercedes Nichols, she went inside. What she didn't know is there were 4 other girls hiding in there. They got her into a bedroom after a period of time. They began to beat on her, slammed her into a wall, and knocked her unconscious. When she awoke, she was laying on the couch in the living room. They continued to scream and holler at her, and to beat her, and to beat her, and to beat her. Supposedly, this all erupted as a result of our victim supposedly trash-talking these other girls on her MySpace account and through text messages. We have many different versions of the events. We're going to show you the one that we have a video copy of. I point out that I'm not using the victim's name because she's 16. She's a child. She's a victim. When you see this videotape, you'll notice that we have blanked out our victim's face because she's a child and she's a victim. To have shown the complete tape would have been to have fed into exactly what our suspects wanted. According to one suspect, they intended for this to be on MySpace, and they intended for this to be on YouTube. The piece of video clip you see is, as we understand, the second phase of the beating. At this time, she, according to her statements, had come to from where she had been beaten and her head slammed against the wall, and subsequently, as she recalled, waking up in the living room. So the beating you're about to see is after what we suspect was when the most damage was done. We know at this time that she's not recovered full vision in her left eye. She's not recovered full hearing in her left ear. We know that when she was taken to the hospital that she was determined to have a concussion. We also know that once the beatings were complete, and 3 of the suspects, Mays, Hardcastle, and Nichols, forced her into a car and drove her around, got her something to drink, and then said, if you think this beating was bad, if you go to the cops, the next one will be even worse. When she convinced them that she wouldn't, they led her out near the intersection of 540A and 37B in the suburbs of Lakeland, where she had notified a friend of hers who came from a short distance away, picked her up, and took her, the victim, to her friend's house. Their EMS was summoned and she was transported to Lakeland Regional Medical Center. So we'll look at the video clip, and then I'll have some other comments, and you're certainly welcome to ask any questions. That is animalistic behavior. It's pack mentality. They lured her there to beat her, and beat her, and beat her, and they left her with a concussion. I must tell you, that makes my blood boil, and certainly I think it will the people in our community. The grandmother, who was at work at the time when this happened, is absolutely, totally mortified. She's totally cooperative with us. Mary Nichols' residence is where this occurred. We still have this event under investigation. We are getting several different versions based on what one suspect says or another suspect says, but interestingly enough, the victim was a Mulberry High School cheerleader last year. She no longer is. Kayla Hassel, one of the combatants that beat our victim, was a JV cheerleader this year. We understand she just recently left the squad. April Cooper claims to be a cheerleader. However, there is no record or no evidence that she's on a high school cheerleading team. Apparently, maybe she's involved in competitive cheerleading. They all knew each other. One of the two boys that stood outside, Zachary Ashley, is a next-door neighbor to our victim. And at least on one occasion during the pack beating, one of the guys who was standing outside stuck his head in the door and said, "You know, y'all are going to have to be quiet. Not that you're going to have to quit beating her, but that you're going to have to be quiet because you're making too much noise. And someone might become suspicious." We are told that there is as many as 5 different video clips of this beating. We're only in possession of one. We don't have any video footage or any video photographs from where she was supposedly knocked unconscious in the bedroom before she sustained this beating. Ladies and gentlemen, it's incumbent upon us as a society not to accept this. I think it's incumbent upon YouTube and MySpace to make some drastic changes so that when people download this type of thing onto their sites, that they clean it up. Because if we desensitize kids 14 to 17 to this kind of beating and this kind of activity today, what's next? This is absolutely outrageous conduct by a group of folks who knew each other and were mad over texting and messages left on MySpace.